we were little kids yet, because when I was already like a teenager, I went with my mother to shul and I knew how to daven and everything. That's why I know today.
Did you ever learn like Chumash or anything? Did anyone?
No.
You were never taught?
No, I went a little bit to Abbas Yankov school too, because it came a girl from Chernovitz. It was a cousin to the Shoichet, and she made like a Sunday school, Abbas Yankov, after school, and this was also the early time. Then I went to the high school, but I didn't finish it, because I was 2 years, the third year I didn't finish already, because the war started already. The Czechs was running away, was no school. So what happened? I graduated school, I finished school because I went to Ukrainian school for a while, and then I went to Hungarian school for a while. Till I was
In 1938 you went to a Hungarian school?
First to Ukraine.
In 38?
In 38.
So in 1938, and so, start from there.
In 1938, the Czechs were running away, and there was a group, Sichakas, they called them Sichavikas. They were Ukrainian people, they were very anti-Semitic, very against the Jews. And they weren't, it was luckily they won a long time because the Hungarians came in.
So, just
about maybe a year.
Politically, what, do you remember what date in 1938, what month?
I don't remember the dates.
But
I don't remember the dates.
What happened that things changed?
I mean, in 1938 happened, the war broke out. And they called, that was everybody was soldiers, they called them in, everybody. There was no age, no everybody.
But there were no Germans in your
No
time.
Germans yet, there was the Czechs. Then the Germans occupied Czechia at that time. It didn't last for long. I don't remember dates. How old was I? I was 12 years old. I remember dates. I don't. I remember later maybe. So in 1939, the Hungarians came in. The Germans occupied Czechia, the Sudet, the Czechia, and to us, Carpathia, the Hungarians occupied. So I remember we were standing one Shabbos, it was not Shabbos, we were standing at the streets, the Hungarian military came, they came with cars, so they were on horses, riding on horses. They had tanks, they had those things. So we were standing and we were so happy to see them, because with the Ukrainians, they would have killed all the Jews that time.
Well, when the Ukrainians were there, did you witness anything?
Yes,
what were they doing?
I slept it over, but one night they came into our house, the Ukrainians, and it was people from our town, but they knew my father. They came in and they said, you have pistols in the house, you have weapons in the house, and we wanted, you should give it to us. Because my father, he was, I'm telling you, a businessman, he bought a lot of those apples, and he had people who watched it during the night because they were stealing, so he gave them guns. But we didn't have nothing in the house, those guns were gone a long time, I don't know where they went. So they came and they said, we know you have guns and we want it. And they came with a pistol, talked to my father's house like this, and it was people from our town. But they left, they didn't do nothing.
And what was it? Was there any problems in the streets at that time?
No, the streets were no problems. But there was everybody, they had a blacklist how to kill the Jews. They found it later. How they going to kill all the Jews?
The Ukrainians.
The Ukrainians. It wasn't the real Ukrainians what they know. This was some Sichavikas, they called themselves. So one Friday they were running away already. The Hungarians started coming. So it was in our house, my cousins. They had, they were soldiers and they had guns. So they were shooting.
Your cousins were soldiers?
Yeah.
In which army?
In the Czech army.
Okay.
So they was.
Then they were fighting the Germans at that time.
No, this wasn't the Germans. This was the Ukrainians.
Okay.
The Sichavikas. They were finding. They had guns. It was a neighbor, also a boy. He was a soldier and a cousin of mine, and they were shooting to our town, and they were, I remember when we had the kitchen, in the back of the kitchen was a little window. So through the window they were standing with not a gun, it was not a machine gun, it was,
A rifle?
a rifle, and they were shooting back. All right, and then they went away, the Hungarians came, so we were standing and were very happy that they coming. So there was a Yiddish soldier, he was on a horse riding, so he said in Yiddish, he said, jeden Freitag, ich gehe zur Heimschule messen, Schulentessen, it was Shabbos, the Freitag going, and ich kann, they were very big anti-Semitic, the Hungarians.
Well,
right?
translate what you just said.
What?
Can you translate what you just said? You just spoke in Yiddish. What did he say?
Go home and eat Schulent, he said. Don't stay here and don't be so happy that we're coming. There were still Jewish soldiers that time. Right away the Hungarians came in, they stopped the Schita. They didn't allow the Schita. This was the first thing. And then maybe it was past a year, they took away all the Jewish business. You weren't allowed, a Jew wasn't allowed to have a business, you had to take in a goy. Or as a partner, or a guy took it over.
So,
The Jews were not allowed to work on their own fields, on their own, you have to have a partner, a guy.
so when they
It
stopped
was
the,
very anti-Semitic, a lot of things what they did. But we still lived, life went on. It wasn't so bad yet.
when they stopped the shechita, so you had no meat for the entire
The shechita
time?
not on poultry. They stopped the shechita
On livestock, like cows and...
on cows and things like that.
But you still had chicken?
Not chicken you were allowed to kill. Because they said that it was animals, like they say today, it's killing animals. The shechita,
Right.
the animals suffer when you... And it's true, they really, they kill them with a knife just like this. So, okay. Then it started getting more anti-Semitic. In 1940, the Hungarians went through the border, they occupied Transylvania, Romania. There where my grandparents lived. So we were able to go to my grandparents more often. We didn't need a passport, it was fine.
What did you witness anything? Did things happen to people? Did you, or it
No,
was
I
just
witnessed just in 1941, there was a law that all the Polish people who didn't, because in Carpathia lived a lot of Polish people too. So they came in 1941, this was the law, but every time they did their own law. So, for example, by us, they took a lot of Jews people, young people, and also a lot of Jewish people, they took that time away, and they came to us also, they took voice my father. And then this was on a Shabbos
this is what year?
in 1941.
And this the Hungarians took your father?
The Hungarians.
What do you remember? What month or what time of year?
I'm thinking now what time of the year. It was a summertime, it wasn't the winter, so I don't know, springtime, or I don't remember exactly. Then an hour later they came for us also. They took us also. They took us, and they took all the people to the nearby town. It was also a bigger town, Teresva. That
Well,
they put them on trains. So we slept there, this was Shabbos night. We slept outside for the train station, and early in the morning it was daybreak, they coming over, this was the Hungarian, it's not the police, gendarme they call them, I don't know what it is exactly to tell you. It's like, because it was by a border, so it was more like
a border police?
border police.
Well, when they took you, did they tell you what they were
They
doing?
didn't
What
say nothing.
They just came
They didn't
and
say nothing, but it wasn't the law to take us. We weren't from Poland. So early Sunday they took my father's one sister, the oldest child, my grandfather's child. They took her with the family, but two boys, one was in, they were away, they weren't home, they were in Munkosazot, because later they didn't took Jews in the military. They took them in the military, but not with guns or rifles, not with ammunition, just for work. My father was also there for a while, and then when he was after 40, they released those people after 40. After 40 years old. So we were sleeping by the train station, sleeping on the floor, laying on the floor. I don't even know where it was, how we were. It was but daybreak. They came over the police and they said you could go home, to us and to my grandfather.
And your father?
You know, the whole family. My grandfather and the grandmother and us. My father and my mother and me and my sister. All right, we went back home. They took those Jews to Poland, to Kamensk-Podolsk was the name. And there was a river, the Dniester. The most of the people they shot and they threw in the Dniester.
How do you know that?
Because there were people who were in that, what I'm saying, in that military, not in the, with the munition just for war, they saw it. And a lot of, there was a few people were running away and they came back home.
Do you know how many they killed?
I don't know. Couldn't remember. It was a lot of families they took away. You know, I don't remember already even a lot of families from our town.
And so that's 1941.
This was in 1941.
And you knew that they had taken people away and shot them.
Nobody survived. A few people came back. There was one woman with a daughter came back. She was a widow. They took her with her daughter. And she came back, and then another, a cousin of ours, it was like a third cousin maybe she was, a single girl. They took away her whole family. She didn't have parents already, but she had a sister, she was married, and she didn't come back. And other two girls, also two sisters, came back. Also they made for them trouble, they were hiding for a while, and one of them, the cousin ours, what I'm telling you, they took her away to Budapest, they put her in, they sent her to Auschwitz yet in 1942. Auschwitz was, nobody knew about it. They sent her away. It happened that we met her in Auschwitz once, this comes later. So still life went on, it was already a miserable life, but still, you know, we lived, we still.
Was there any thought to go anywhere, or?
No, who would have go? I just say a lot of things, a lot of times that people from Poland, they came to yeshivas, they took him to Japan in 1939 or something. I say if they would come in to my father and tell him, you know, you could go to Japan to survive, he would not go. He would not go. All right, the life went on. It was already a very bad life, but it went on till.
Well, when you say bad life, well.
I mean, we left, but they took away all the Jewish property. They took away everything from us. But we had money, you know. My father still made with the goyim in the town. You know, there were honest people who he lent them money. They gave us back. They came the last minute when they took us in 1944. I never forget that. One guy came in. He owed my father money. He brought the money to the house. He said, "I owe you this and this money. Here it is. Maybe you'll need it." There wasn't too many people like this.
But going back to 1942, your father still had his orchards, or that was taken away from him?
My father still had this orchard, but it was like it with a guy something. I don't know, with a gentler. I really don't remember. I don't remember exactly everything. I remember a lot of things, but I don't remember everything. Been home already. So for 1941, they didn't, my mother's family, they didn't take nobody. They lived there, we still went there, we still went to see them, they came to us, everything. It went on till 1944. Before the Purim it was. Okay, my grandfather got very sick.
Your father's father?
My father's father. He got very sick. And you know, those days were different. We didn't even know what the sickness was. He was in hospital, and he went to a lot of doctors, and